Welcome to Project Inner Leadership, where women build and become. This is the podcast for ambitious women in business who are building, leading, and achieving, and who know they're meant for more. Here, we don't just talk about strategy, we talk about consciousness, self-leadership, emotional mastery. Because the business you build will never outgrow the woman you become. If you're ready to expand beyond your current limits, to dissolve inner resistance, and to manifest a business and a life that truly reflects your deepest vision, then you're here in the right place. This is about thinking beyond what feels realistic, building a business without burning out, leading beyond fear, and creating from clarity instead of pressure. I'm Christina, and this is Project Inner Leadership. Hello, dear people. This is Christina from Project Inner Leadership, and today's episode is going to be about fear and your ego, especially when it comes to business. This is a topic which really took a lot of my energy and a lot of my time, because it was something that I really had to learn throughout the last few years. And it wasn't something that I found out, I don't know, one day after I hit some certain challenges. It was more of a process until I got to that point and understood what's really behind my fear and how I can, I would say, cooperate with it so that it doesn't block me. Because I suffered a very long time from anxiety, fear, depression, and burnout, and this kind of stuff. And I was always trying to push away the fear. Fear was the most dominant one from all of the feelings I was feeling. And I was always trying to push it away because it was something that felt so horrible for me and something that I was really ashamed of. I was like, how can I have so much fear? And that's not okay, because I'm a businesswoman, I have a child, I'm a wife, and I'm grown up, I'm 34 years old. I should be stable. I should not be like a child and feel fear. So it was something I was constantly in fight with, and that took a lot of energy from me. And something also that I see with so many people is that the fear is blocking them. Fear is blocking them from moving forward, from living life, from being happy, from living life to its fullest potential. And I really, with this podcast episode, would like to tell you what helped me in dealing with this fear and what helped me to not see it as something that is blocking you, because it really doesn't block you. It blocks you only when you do certain things, which most people do, because that's natural. We naturally try to avoid and push away and reject things in our life which are not comfortable. So it's super natural to subconsciously try to push away fear and try to push away anything that kind of makes you feel pain inside of yourself. So I want to show you today how I was dealing with fear in the past few years, how I was dealing with it before I come to the conclusion that fear is not blocking me, it's only blocking me when I allow it to block me, and how I deal with fear today. And that's a huge difference. I want to start with one thing that maybe will surprise you and maybe will sound also a little bit more like a philosophy, but it's very important to understand this whole concept of feelings, of what's going on inside of you. And that actually, if you understand this whole concept, you can make it even to work for you. And your life will become extremely comfortable with it. Yeah. So, as the title already says, fear is deeply connected to your ego. And the bigger your fear is, the bigger is your ego. And that probably now triggers you a lot when I heard actually a woman saying this in Germany. I listened to her podcast, and when she said that exactly that. The bigger your fear is, the bigger is your ego. And when she said that, it really triggered me. Even though I had no clue about ego, I had no clue about philosophy, spirituality, and all of that stuff, but it really triggered me. So the concept behind that is your fear is actually not really you. The fear is something inside of you, it's a feeling which develops because of a certain reason. And the reason can be a thought, a story which is created by your mind, or it can be your ego. So let me show you an example so that you maybe understand it a little bit better. I'm now sitting here, and that's my second podcast episode. And before I sit down and record this podcast episode, I told my husband, I don't know if I should really do this podcast. I think it's not gonna work anyways. Who's gonna listen to me? There are so many podcasts out there, and the market is full with people talking about experience, wanna give people advice, and I don't know, whatever. So why should I do a podcast? Why should anybody sit down and listen to what I'm saying? You know? So when I told that my husband, I really felt bad. I really felt a huge, intense feeling of fear traveling through my body. Starting in my head, it started to push on the left and the right side into my head bones, and traveling down through my throat, into my chest, into my upper belly, into my stomach, making my stomach feel really tight, traveling down more into my legs and to my toes, and then out from my body. And I don't know how long it lasted. Maybe it lasted for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes until I got myself back to who am I really? And that is because my ego, yeah, we all have an ego in ourself, in our body, in our mind, because that is part of our human experience. We all have a mind, we have a body, we have an ego, we have a soul. So our body, this mind, and this ego, these are here for our human experience, for creating stories in our head, for creating thoughts, for creating feelings, for creating emotions. And that's the package we agreed on before we came to this earth. And I know that sounds very spiritual, but it's really important to understand that, or just open yourself a little bit to that, because it will later on really help you in managing your feelings, in managing your business and challenges which come up in business, which are very normal. But also, and the beauty is, you can adapt it to any life area. So then it becomes really beautiful. So what happens to me is my ego was telling me that story, who's gonna watch that? Who's gonna listen to you? Who's gonna be interested? Why you wanna do that? It's gonna be a fail anyways. You should just focus on the on your three companies. Why you even wanna help people? You're not even good enough to give anybody advice because you are small anyways, you know? And my ego actually is afraid of being judged. My ego is afraid of failing. My ego is afraid of losing something, losing pride, losing recognition, you know, losing the proving something to other people, you know, my environment, my family, my husband, etc. So my ego, therefore, tries to warn me. It tries to tell me these kind of stories because it is afraid. And now, which is very important, is to understand the ego is deeply connected to our nervous system. So our ego is telling these kind of stories to us, and immediately our nervous system reacts to it. And that's why I felt this pushing pain on the left and the right side of my head. I felt my fingers are shaking. I felt my stomach gets really tight and uncomfortable. I felt this fear traveling through my body, a little bit like, I don't know if you have ever had a panic attack, but it felt like a panic attack traveling through my body. And that is because the nervous system is connected to our ego. And now there is a big trend going on outside. Everybody is talking about you have to regulate your nervous system. Your nervous system is dysregulated. There is something wrong with you. You're getting blocked from your nervous system. You have to calm down. You have to relax, and etc. etc. Yeah, that's all true. That's all fine. But if you have a deeper look at this, actually your nervous system is working perfectly fine because your nervous system is not the issue. Your nervous system is just reacting to the story and to for example, in my case, to the fear of my ego, of being judged, of failing, of losing, etc. So in that case, if you see it from that perspective, the ego is not the ego, the nervous system is working perfectly fine. It's super healthy. It's working super healthily. And there's nothing I need to change because if I now try to change my nervous system, to regulate my nervous system, I only cover something on the surface. By that, I mean you actually only put your focus on the symptom. Yeah, your nervous system, when it gets overstimulated, when it gets overwhelmed, you feel all these weird things going on inside your body. This is just the response to a thought, to the story, to whatever your ego or your mind want to tell you now. And if you try to only focus on the nervous system, you don't go deeper. You actually really you don't look into the root cause, you know, why this is caused. And I'm telling you this because I went down that road and I did not come to any solution. I was trying everything to calm down my nervous system. I meditated, I did breath work, I went into nature, I went to exercise, I did fasting, I changed my diet to ketogenic diet, no sugar anymore, no carbs anymore. I did praying, I did any technique you can find out there, I have tried. And yes, they help. They are beautiful tools that help you to calm down and regulate your nervous system. But after a few minutes or after a few hours, when there is another story coming into your mind, another thing that your ego wants to tell you, the whole thing starts from zero again. So your nervous system will react again, and then you start again to calm down your nervous system until it's calmed down. And then after a few hours, the same cycle starts from the beginning again. So it was driving me really crazy. I was super lost. I felt so helpless and hopeless. I thought I'm psychologically really sick. Nobody can help me, because my nervous system doesn't calm down. I can't do anything anymore. Maybe my nervous system is damaged and it will never be fine again. Because back then my child was very little. I had a lot of work. I did not have many employees. So I was doing 95% of the work myself. We moved houses. We had other life challenges in that moment, in that time. And so I was super overwhelmed with everything. But the thing is, nothing really helped. Yeah, nothing really helped, and it hit me to a point where I thought, I'm a hopeless case. Nothing works for me, and I'm sick. I'm sick. I'm wrong. I'm wrong, and I have failed in life. I'm not strong enough. Then the second story came with, you're not strong enough. You're weak. You're not strong enough for your child. You're not strong enough for your business. You can't even have a business because look at you. Look at how you deal with life. You cannot even deal with a child and stuff like that. So then so many other stories, they follow, and this vicious cycle doesn't end. It doesn't end until I realized that actually my nervous system is perfectly fine. I don't have to suppress my nervous system. I don't have to suppress my nervous system in making me feel like something, in making my fingers shake, in making my stomach feel tightened, in making my heart to race like crazy, in making my body to sweat, feel hot and cold at the same time. I don't have to stop my nervous system because my nervous system is healthy. It is perfect as it is because it is just responding to something that is also part of me, which part of this human experience, part of this life, but it is not me. And that's the next super important thing I want to give to you, tell you in this podcast episode, because your ego, everybody has an ego, as I've already mentioned before. We grow up with certain beliefs. We grow up in societies, in cultures, in the school system, in the internet world. So over time, our ego gets shaped. And our ego is very much afraid of many things out in this world. In my case, my ego is super afraid of losing money, of losing what I've already built, of losing my business, of losing my clients. My ego is very much afraid of inflation, that the money goes down, that I'm failing. I do something wrong, I make a big mistake, and I lose everything. And it is also afraid of dying. Yeah, that's a big fear my ego has. It is so afraid of dying. It is so afraid of getting ill. It is so afraid of hospitals, of doctors. And when you realize that is your ego that has all these stories to tell you, you kind of take a step back. You become the observer of what's really going on in your body. And that is like you're kind of sitting there, you're feeling comfortable, you're sitting in your sofa and you watch a movie. And in this movie, you see your ego with all the dramatic stories it has to offer, and with its very best friend, your nervous system. You can even say your whole body, because your whole body is connected to your ego and to the stories it tells you. So you watch the movie, you see your ego making so much drama. Your ego is afraid. Your ego is jealous. Your ego is sad. Your ego um, tells you this story and that story. And then is there the best friend, your nervous system, and that is kind of the I don't want to say the slave of your ego, but it is the how can you really say that what it is? It is the person that works in the post office, bringing the stories from your ego to you in form of a letter that makes you feel something. Yeah, it maybe brings you, in my case, my ego was telling me the story, oh my God, I cannot make this podcast because nobody's gonna listen to me and nobody cares about me. And who am I really that I can say something, that I have to say something in this world? So my ego is really afraid of being judged. And all this story and including this feeling, the ego puts it into a letter, and it gives the letter to our nervous system. And the nervous system starts to respond. It comes, it takes the letter, and it brings the letter to us. And it brings the letter to us, not only the story, but also the feeling. Yeah. So once we receive this story, we automatically feel the feeling in our body. Yeah. And the good thing in that case is you are still only the observer. You're not your ego, you're not your nervous system. You just watch the movie. You feel the feelings because obviously you watch a movie, and if something happens in the movie, you're going to be touched. You're going to be touched. You maybe feel sad, you need to cry, you maybe feel fear. So you feel the shakiness in your body, but you are not in the movie. You are not the movie. You're just sitting there. You're someone that watches the movie. And over the past few years, when I understood what's really going on in my body, I took some distance to what's going on, to all these stories, this drama, to all these feelings. And that actually makes you much more free. It makes you free in that terms that you don't identify yourself anymore with that drama. You don't identify yourself with that fear because you are not the fear. The fear is created by something else. And the feeling that comes with it is also not you. The feeling is just a feeling. And once you choose to come into this world, to come into this life, you accept the whole package. You accept the ego, you accept your nervous system, you accept all the feelings. You don't only accept love, happiness. When you come to this earth, you accept the whole package. The package that also includes fear, sadness, jealousy, and all the uncomfortable feelings. Yeah. So not only the comfortable ones, also the uncomfortable ones. And that brings me to my next point. No matter if it's an uncomfortable feeling like fear or it's a comfortable feeling like love or happiness, both are equal. Both are just feelings, both are just energies that travel through your body. And that's exactly what I did the past few years. I had to train that, but the more you train it, the better you become in it, and also the better you become, the more you become unstoppable. Because when you sit there and watch this movie, yeah, your ego comes up with some sort of drama again, some sort of story again. You feel the fear in your body, but you're not rejecting it anymore. Because it's not you anyways. It's just there to be seen, to be recognized, to give it its space and let it travel through your body. Feel it in its whole I don't know, quality, intensity, and quantity, you know? It maybe comes in one waves, it maybe comes in 5 waves at the same time, it maybe comes really intense, maybe it comes very mild. Whatever comes, it just wants to travel through your body, be seen, be recognized. And then what happens? It goes away again. And that's what the most people don't experience because they don't get to that point. When they feel the fear, they get scared. They think like, oh my God, I feel my nervous system. Oh my God, no, 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 no. I have to calm myself down. I have to now start to breathe. I have to now think about something positive. I have to distract myself. Or I have to get, I don't know, smoke a cigarette. Some people, maybe they take a glass of wine, whatever they do. But they actually they cut the journey of the feeling that wants to travel through their body. And that's why they never reach to the point that the feeling just travels through their body and then goes away again by itself. So it doesn't harm them, it doesn't kill them, it feels like it kills them. Honestly, it really, sometimes it can get so intense. I honestly sometimes thought I'm gonna die now. And I thought, I don't know how my body can deal with it. I don't know. My body is absolutely incredible, and my nervous system, because oh my God, what they went through sometimes, because there came waves of fear with such a high intensity where I honestly thought, okay, that's now the end. That's now the end. I'm out of here of this life because I don't think my body can deal with that. But the body can deal with it because that's why we are here. We are here to let these emotions to travel. Emotion. Yeah, there's something that wants to travel. And so when I did this, when I started to recognize that all these stories are created by my mind and my ego, and my nervous system reacts to it, I stopped to fight my nervous system. And just by stopping to fight the nervous system, it already makes you feel calm. It brings you in that trust. You trust what's going on in your body. You trust your nervous system. You trust the ability to handle emotions in your body. And just by that, I tell you, it calms down the nervous system, and it even calms down your fear over time. So in my case, that doesn't mean I don't have fear anymore. I have a lot of fear. Like just a few minutes before I started to record this second episode, I had a lot of fear. But the beauty of it is I work with my fear. I don't let the fear to block me. I take the hand of my fear and I go together with it through it. And that's the difference, because you start to live with that fear. You start to recognize the fear, to see it, but you stop to fear it. You stop to fear the fear, because that was a huge thing for me. I was so afraid of my own fear. I woke up in the morning, I was already afraid to feel the fear, you know? And I see this in a lot of people. They are afraid of their own feelings. But once you surrender to it, you give yourself your full heart, your everything to it. For me, sometimes it was so intense that I said to myself, I'm going to lay down now, and I give my whole body, my everything to it. I trust that everything is going to be fine, and I know there's everything is going to be fine. But I surrender. Do with me whatever you want. I just give myself to you. And actually by that, you lose the fear of your emotions. You lose the fear of the fear. That doesn't mean that you never have fear again, but you work together with the fear. it loses its power over you. And instead, you gain power. You gain power over it. You know, you gain power over it. And the thing with fear is it's not too much about the quantity, because I have a lot of fear. I have fear every day and sometimes even several times a day. But the intensity, so the quality, reduced. Before, I had a lot of fear, but it was so intense that it blocked me. It blocked me from, for example, doing my job. It blocked me from waking up in the morning. There were times I slept until 2, 1, at 2 o'clock lunchtime, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I couldn't get out of my bed. I was too afraid. I just wanted to sleep. I just wanted to sleep to not face this feeling. So it completely blocked me. And now it's the opposite. It doesn't have power over me anymore. Now I do everything I want. Even if I'm afraid of it, I do it. I'm afraid of making this podcast. I do it. I'm afraid of talking on the stage to hundreds of people. I do it. I'm afraid of scaling up my business because I don't know how to handle all this money. I do it. I'm afraid of doing my tax return because I don't want to see this high number. I do it. I don't want to deal with these more complicated clients that we sometimes have, that they complain. I don't want to go on a meeting with them because I'm afraid of them. No, I do it. I sit in front of them and I talk to them. I feel the fear, but that's not the problem for me. I take the fear with me. I take it with me. So, all I want to say is that as long as you are living in the illusion that you are your ego, you are your business, you are your money, you are your body, you are your beauty, you are your house, you are your wealth, you are your status, or whatever. As long as you're identifying yourself with that, it's going to have power over you. And it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. It's going to get more and more and more intense, as it was in my case, until you get to a point where you have no chance other than changing your approach. And changing your approach is not by meditating 5 or 6 hours a day. I tried that. And I don't say anything against meditation. I also do meditation. Not every day, but I do it. But the meditation itself is just a tool. It's a tool here to help you to make your life more comfortable. Yeah. But it's not the solution. It's only touching the surface. It's not going down deep to the root cause. And that's when you really face the fear, when you really also understand that the fear is not you, it's created by your mind and your ego, created by the thought that they create. And it's not you. You're the observer. You're the observer that is watching the movie. And then it doesn't block you anymore. And then you actually really get beyond what you ever thought is realistic for you, because that opens doors and opportunities for you which you would have never thought in your life you would experience that. And that is when you have this emotional clarity, which only comes when you take distance to this, all what's going on inside of you, to your in your body, nervous system, and the stories you're telling yourself. And when you surrender to your feelings. And that is not only for fear, that's also for sadness, for jealousy, for any trigger you have. And then you master yourself and your life again. And this method, you can adapt to any life area. For example, to your family, your relationships, your business, your health, your social life. Yeah, to anything you want. It's not that simple. I agree on that. It makes you maybe feel a little bit afraid if you can really do that, if that really works. But you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose other than practicing this. And I also want to tell you, it's not something that um it changes your situation overnight. It's something that is considered more to be a process. The more you do that, you will see it comes off like the different layers from an onion. You know, when you peel an onion, it has these layers around it. Um, you peel it off layer by layer, and that's how you can see this whole process. It comes off by layer by layer. The fear comes off layer by layer, so step by step. And until you really reach a point where you can work so well with your fear, and it's actually one of your best friends, and it's super fun working with it, and you really become unstoppable, and you can achieve whatever you want. Whatever you want. That's the real beauty of it. Yeah. So I really hope that this was helpful for you. I really, really do. It was so helpful for me. And actually, that's the reason why I even started this podcast, because this information you can't really get from therapists, you can't really get on the internet. It's actually the opposite of what everybody preaches. If you go to a therapist, you have to talk about your story over and over again, and nothing's going to change. Or another coach comes here and tells you another breathing exercise. Another mentor comes around the corner and tells you about the new method of meditation. You know, it's not a solution. It's really not a solution. And if you are in a situation as I was, where really none of this worked, and you have tried everything, then this method will definitely help you. It will definitely help you. Yeah, let me know how is it going. I would really love to hear if I don't know, some of you try this method, and if it's helpful for you. I would honestly really love to know that. Yeah, otherwise, I'm super happy you listened, you stayed until here to the end of the podcast. And I hope next time you are on board again with me. Have an amazing day, have an amazing time, take care of yourself, because nobody's gonna do that for you, and all the best. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to take a moment. Not to do more, not to fix anything, but simply to notice what moved inside of you. Growth does not start with doing, it starts with awareness. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss the next episode. And if you feel called to, share it with another woman who is building or becoming. Because we don't need to hustle harder, we don't need to silence our emotions. We simply need to lead ourselves differently. Thank you for being here, thank you for doing this work, and remember, the way you lead yourself determines what you build. I'll see you in the next episode.